If you allow me, I would love to just jump in. We are colleagues, Margaret and I work together. So I will cover for her. Um, our first presenter is Molly Azami, and well, Margaret is co-author, and Molly and her colleagues will present topic. The geospatial analysis of animal movement. Why is the editing cost was enough?
Zambezi.
Okay.
Zimbabwe is the name of the country.
Right. Easy, yeah. Right. So this or those Molly and Margaret and the team are in at the University of Georgia, and we have collaborators.
Yeah, at the end, I have an acknowledgement page that has everybody's name and
Right.
where they're associated.
Yes, international project.
Yeah.
Molly.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, this project is, there's a team, well, we'll talk about it as I go through, we'll talk about the team itself. But, we have the Victoria, this is all elephants around Victoria Falls, Africa, Zimbabwe. And the team, I will talk about the teams, we'll get the team's names at the very end, then you'll remember them better too, I think psychologically, right? You'll see the names on the acknowledgement page. I didn't put them ahead of time, but we'll talk about the team here. They're all from on the ground in Zimbabwe, as well as in different universities around the US. So this is what we're going to go through. We're going to talk about the team and what the project is. We're going to talk about the transboundary issues, which is what we're talking about now, is the issues of crossing international, trying to manage animals and human-animal conflict when the animals you're monitoring are going over international borders. And it's interesting, we're following the previous, just before lunch talk, because they were talking about the arbitrary lines that we just put on the earth. And not everyone follows those arbitrary lines, including animals. And so then we'll get into some analysis that I've been doing that it isn't groundbreaking. We'll look at it, but it's what we're trying to do is establish some factors that we can use for modeling, and also that they can use for talking to developers about like where to build and where not to build. So we'll talk about those, and then we'll just talk about continuing work and acknowledgements and questions. So here we go. Okay, so Victoria Falls Elephant Project, as I said, I'll talk about the people who are in our team later. But we work with, whoops.
I'm just gonna check that it's recording for you, Rita.
It said it was recording. It had a little note to warn people that it was recording. Okay, all right. And these are some of the groups that I work with. Connected Conservation, it is on the ground in Zimbabwe. Victoria Falls Wildlife Trust, Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management, and then the Zambezi Elephant Welfare Conservative. And there's others, but these are the main players in our project. And so in this area, there is a sort of an international collaboration of managing this wildlife reserve. This is called the CASA Trans-Frontier Conservation Area. And you can see it covers Angola, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, and Namibia. And if you guys were on the tour yesterday, we stopped at the Globe and we were pointing out the Okavango, because it's something easily seen when you look at Africa from a distance. That's where the Okavango River is forging its way. And so this area, our bulls are over here in Victoria Falls, mostly between Zimbabwe and Zambia, but they do go into Botswana sometimes as well, and maybe the finger of Namibia. I don't know if they've ever gone there. Actually, they've been very close, but I don't know if they've ever actually crossed the river. Okay, so some of the issues that we have, what the project is concerned with, is human-animal conflict areas. And of course, it goes both, the human-animal conflicts go both ways, right? So we have, our project only collars bull elephants, rogue bull elephants. So when bull elephants from a family group get to the age where they're, let's say promiscuous, that's the word, they get kicked out of their family group and have to go and forge their own, find their own way. And it can be different. The ages can vary. there's a good book called Elephant Dawn, where the lady is kind of like Jane Goodall with the thing. She went and studied the elephants right up, and it's a good book to read if you want to know more about the behaviors and ages. I'm fascinated by it. I've been reading it. I'm not very far, but I'm reading parts of it. And so other things, so what happens with these rogue bull elephants is they're very unpredictable and they can be aggressive. And so you see this giant guy here in the middle of town, downtown Victoria Falls. And can be very dangerous for people. Usually people disappear into the buildings. I guess there are, you see a few here, but usually they disappear into the buildings when the elephants are there and let them just pass. And of course they raid crops because they want to eat, and the crops we make are very lovely and wonderful, and they can just kind of bowl over most fences and go in and eat the crops. They do property damage, they can intimidate, cause harm. I mean, and they have killed people. Elephants have killed people. We don't know that any of our collared animals have ever killed anybody, but you know, it can be scary. They're big. But on the other side, we have human problems of garbage, plastic everywhere. And these two pictures here, I'm sorry, they're not beautiful, maybe not a good thing to show after lunch, but these are, you know, the dung with large chunks of plastic and bottle tops and a garbage bag that they eat because they love the garbage. This map right here is actually Victoria Falls. This is their water treatment plant, and this is their garbage dump. Every one of those pink dots is elephant collar points. They go right into the garbage. That's where they go. They hang out. This picture, I mean, the timing of this picture isn't the same as the timing of the dots. But the timing of this picture, it looks like it has active algae bloom, though, whether it's what is it, cyanobacteria, which is deadly or not, we don't know, but there's definitely an active algae bloom there. So it's another concern. And then of course, one big problem. So this project has, I'll probably say it later too, but has tagged 22 elephants since 2017. And at least 4 that I know of have been killed by poachers. And so poaching is a big problem there as well. And so that's the human animal conflict area. So the project, their main thing is to mitigate between the elephants and the humans. So they monitor the bulls. Here's one of the collars that they put on the bulls. They're big. You'll see some pictures later of the bulls with the actual collars on them. They do field observations. They have citizen reporting. They've actually, I think they've implemented, I know they tried to implement, I don't know if it's still going, that if they report like any damage or anything they see the bulls doing on an app, they can get like minutes for their phone. And so it's sort of like an exchange. If people report it, they can get minutes for reporting it. Okay. They're not able to hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. We have a lot of people checking this equipment. That's good. And so, yeah, and then so they're also actively coordinate with farmers to try to, because if this project didn't exist and people weren't caring, if the bulls raided a farmer's farm, they'd go out and shoot them and kill the bulls. So it's protecting the elephants to work with the farmers. And one of the big things, and this is that connected conservation, that they came up with this idea of chili wax and chili pepper. And what they do is when they color the bull, here's a picture of Malvern, actually, one of our team members, putting chili wax on a darted elephant, like up into their nose and they rub it all over their bodies. When they go somewhere they shouldn't, that it's dangerous. When they raid crops, they actually, usually when they dart them, they're darting, usually when they collar them, they're collaring them when they darted them because they were doing something damaging. And there is studies, I don't have that's out of the round of this particular presentation, but there are studies about the harmfulness to the elephant of these pepper, and they found that it really isn't harmful, but they are still studying to be sure. And there's another group other people who are doing the effects of it, but I've seen I've done a little bit of the mapping of the effects of it, and you can see that the elephants disappear from that area for a while where they've been peppered. So it keeps them away. So those are the issues we have with the human animal conflict. Now, transboundary issue, the elephants, the Zambezi River, this blue is me, I just digitized that using straight, just the Google or the ESRI imagery. It's, the base map, but I just wanted to show the width of the river instead of just the line there. And this is a big area during the wet season, it's all swamp. We don't really, it's mostly what we're looking at is down here. Victoria Falls is where almost every elephant that's tagged has a large number of points, of GPS caller points in this area. They do go to the city regularly. And then Livingstone is right across, which is a bit of a bigger city in Zambia. And the Zimbabwe River, of course, is the border between the two. And so this is a map of all 21 of the bull elephants with all their points from 2017, September 2017 to July 20. This is our data. I just updated this map a few months ago, or actually a few weeks ago. And this shows the extent of where our bulls go. Most of them are in Zimbabwe. Victoria Falls and Livingstone are here. I didn't put the names on because they'd be covered up by the dots. But they're here in this area right here. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, that's right. And so Livingstone gets a lot of elephants going up through it as well. Just some pointers of looking at, when we're just looking at this data. This is actually one elephant, number 2, who went wandering over here in Botswana, way far away. But this area here has a number of different elephants. There's one of the newer elephants, I think 18, took off he went way up here somewhere, and they still have not sure why. And we're still investigating that one. But some of them have taken little sojourns in various other places. But they're crowded here. And if I did a heat map of just this area, the red would be the town of Victoria Falls. That's where the heat map is. So these are the issues we have. And even though there is a collaboration for conservation, it's still very political and very difficult if you have a collared elephant you're managing and they go and cause trouble in other countries. It's just a problem. And this was just, can I play this? I don't know how to, this is a video I just wanted as sort of like so you can watch an elephant cross the river. There it goes. Just for fun. That's not one of our color ones, I didn't see a color on it. Someone took this video and said I could use it. So I thought, okay. That's what they look like in the Zambia. Okay, now this is one of our colored elephants. It's one of the newer ones. This is 19 in the Zambezi. But this is a good quote from one of the publications we have. That African elephants in populations cross at least one international border. And so there's wide-ranging implications of that. And so it's well known and it's documented about the issues of border crossing. And so now the analysis that I've done, when I first started working with the GPS data, one of the first things I did was created, well, this is some of the issues that I've had when I was creating. How much time do I have? So I know what to cut off. Really? Okay, I'll cut this off. My major time was working with the early data because it was very, it came in inconsistently. We've improved that, and there's a lot of improvement in the data, but I'll skip over that part. The very first thing I wanted to do was make tracks and to see what the tracks look like beyond just the GPS points. And I had to use, I did not use the what do you call that? The tools for the ones on ESRI that make the track. There's point to track because it modifies things. I actually did everything by hand like that. If anyone wants to read, if anyone's interested in how I did it, I mean, the problem with the tracking tools is they don't keep the attributes, and it was hard to keep the elephants, and it was hard to keep every point with the exact time that we got that point taken. So I actually created lines for every point, and I created group numbers, it kept the bool number by just adding 100 and then multiply by a million because I have 100,000 some. And so, I created a multiplier, put it on, then went into GIS Pro and created the lines. And then I exported to keep the lines and all the data I exported into GeoJSON, brought it back into Python and went back through and added the start and end point times. And so I was able to do all that and then create. Anyway, point is, when you look at the lines, you start to see true patterns and you see the crossing points. And that was another thing we wanted to identify, is where they cross. And one of the reasons I put this little map inset in here was because look at, this is Livingstone's water treatment plant and it's covered in yellow. So it's like, are there really points or are they just lines going across? No, they really hang out in Livingstone's water treatment facility. And so analyzing why they cross on the ground, they've discovered a lot of things like, well, we know seasonal travel. I have seasonal information. We know from the ground that the soils are richer, but we don't have it in map form yet. And that's one thing we're working on, is that we know that the soils are richer, so the grasses stay longer in the dry season. So they go over there for those. And there's more fruit trees and other vegetables that grow longer over there in the dry season. So in the dry season, when they do the big migration, and rainfall is greater, of course, in there. So actually this is why they return back to the Zimbabwe side, is because it gets too muddy and rainy over on the Zambia side. But what I started looking at was I noticed that the pattern of slope and terrain being an issue. And that's kind of what this topic here is really all that I have, is that you can see along here, see this path here. When I take the lines off, you'll see that that's a ravine. This is a ravine. And all of these are ravines between the hills going to the river. And the river is up here. Victoria Falls is here. It's hard to see anything in Victoria Falls just because it's so heavily covered, but this is it without it. And you can see, this is the line I'm just showing you. There's heavy ravines here. And so they use lower elevation for a number of reasons. One, it's just easy to walk. And here's the points that kind of emphasize this a little bit better. And also they monitor their heat. They don't like walking in daytime. They don't like walking in heat. So they often use ravines because it's cooler in the ravines. These are things we want to show and prove with data instead of just the ground information that we have. And so I just wanted to show that when you put the points in, you can see a little bit of where they crossed, and that you try to see, is the slope less here? Because this is what I was talking about with slope. Here you can really see it. Here you can't really tell if the slope is less. This is the digital elevation model, by the way, over, and it's at 0.3. I have 2 minutes left. I'm doing good then. I'm almost there. I'm at the end. And so I did it. I took the points, all the points that are just 100 kilometers from the river, because if, like I said before, if I do a heat map with all the points, it's just a big red spot right here, right around Victoria Falls. And so I took just the points around the river to see what happens. And apparently there's an island up here they like. And you can see that the crossing points, the same crossing points that I showed, some of them, it helped a little bit. Some of them you can see that there's red around them. This one shows that it's definitely a true crossing point. And then here we have to investigate further as to why that's coming up not significant, even though it seems to be a heavy crossing point. But this is some of the analysis that we're doing with the elephants. And so I was talking about, I wanted to quantify the slope. And so I just did a simple thing. I wrote this sentence wrong. I extracted the point values from the slope, not the DEM, of this is how many total points we have right now that I'm doing. And then I used the gradient from the UN Agricultural Organization of gentle, slight rise, moderate rise. And what you come up with is that only 3%, less than 3% actually, of every single point is on a slope higher than 10%. So they really don't like slopes. They're going to stay 90% of the dots are less slope. So this was just a way of quantifying it so we can say for sure, and it will help us use gravity models to direct and model the movement. And so just one more quick thing I want to show, I know I'm done, is the project team, because I didn't want to pass them up. Okay, project team is Farrell Osborne. He's from Connected Conservation. Malvern is from Connected Conservation. Dr. Margaret Madden is from UGA with me. Andrew Cassetto from University of Salisbury. William Longbird from Bridgewater University, and Kate Markham's another graduate student at UGA. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting. Understand elephant behavior. Well, usually we have 5 minutes for questions and we really want to stick to that. But now I think time is up. We
Okay.
do have a little bit of time, like 10 minutes-ish at the end, so we'll save time.
Okay.
Later.